One of the things that happens when you get promoted is you get a chance to give your rank to somebody. He's my major that's in a leadership position. I have mine that I want to give to him. He's a young upcoming officer who shows great potential in leadership. He's open for mentorship and he listens. I've had the opportunity to mentor a lot of officers. He's at the right rank for me to give these to. While I say that, and I'll be able to catch up with him, he's probably taking care of his clinic right now. I had a mentor too. He was my TAC officer. He just retired. When I went to OCS, the guy with the black hat that makes life really difficult on you and you're really questioning whether or not this was the right decision, that was this guy. I learned that he was retiring and I told him that I was getting promoted to colonel, so he sent me his rank. I got to tell you that makes a difference. I looked up to that man. You know, a lot of TAC officers make fun of your name or do something just to get under your skin. I will tell you that he never did that. He never said a coarse word. This guy always knew when you're wrong. When he was chewing on you, you knew you earned it. In OCS, you'll get more tasks to do than you can actually get accomplished, so you know you're going to get chewed on. But I always knew I was getting chewed on the things that were minor. I always wanted to do well for him. Now I get to wear that rank. I have a speech that I wanted to talk about a little bit, and but first, I guess I want to thank some folks. Thank you. I've got the let me get my list. I got Colonel Rankin here. I want to thank my boss. Thank you for promoting me today and putting up with me. Colonel Solomon, thank you for supporting me as well. Colonel Poole couldn't be here. He has another commitment. I'm sure he wanted to, and his sergeant major. I've got Colonel Weissman. He's probably out here somewhere. I don't see him, but he's going to be at the party tonight. I understand that. And Mayor Biller. Thank you. He invited me as a guest. I got to go to Shoots and Fest. And Franz, thank you for teaching me how to tap a cake. Where else in the Army do you get the public affairs come to you to teach you how to tap a cake so you can go to do the Mayor's Festival and do that and support your community? I have community friends here from Fountain. They're going to be joining us for a little party later today too. So thank you, honored guests and friends. I've got church friends here. I have community friends. I have Army friends. Today's been a long time coming. I had no idea when I was in private that I would someday be pinning on a colonel. My objective was to get from having an outhouse growing up to a college education. That's why I joined the Army. So I joined the Army and got the money to go to college and ended up being the first generation graduate in my family. I have several nephews and nieces now that have gone on to college. And so I'm thankful for the Army. Back then it was be all you could be, and I took advantage of that. And that's why I'm going to be here today. I've always felt like it was something I could give to. I got done with my tour 4 years, went to college, went to OCS because I didn't think I was done giving. While today's promotion is likely my last, I will say that it does not represent a culmination of my career. Promotions are not a laurel to be worn as a prize. Promotions are really a demonstration of the Army's trust in what you can do. And it should mark the responsibility of what you will do. Rank is a tool. It's a tool to be used. I learned this very profoundly when I went from being a major and looking forward to having a battalion of engineers to being a captain again. To be a dentist, you have to resign your commission and recommission as a medical service or dental service corps. So I went from being a major to being a captain for 8 more years. The lesson is humility and realizing that the rank was never about you. The rank was about a tool necessary to do your job. I didn't need that tool while I was in dental school. I wasn't pushing soldiers. All I needed was a rank for a placeholder. They didn't want to make me a second lieutenant again, which was on the table, but they thought that was a bridge too far. That's the engineer would put it. When I was, let's see, where was I gonna go with that? I had no idea that I would be able to lead again. I thought when I gave up that rank that I would never get the chance to lead again. But I joined the dental with a specialty that doesn't get used very often, thankfully. I'm a maxillofacial prosthodontist, so while we have the height of IEDs to the face, I might have a job to do. But right now, I don't have that job to do, but I had two specialties. One of them was leadership. And I looked around and I saw the need, and so I stepped up and said, make me the OIC. And then I took on the Ranger Regiment. And I said, you guys have the worst readiness, dental readiness numbers in the Army. And I tackled them. I insulted some. I did what I needed to do. I had burgers on the grill with a great big gym fan, blowing it over the fence so they could smell it and say, hey, free burgers for Rangers. Just check in at the front desk. They get their exam and go get a burger. I mean, I did what I had to do. By the end of a year and a half, they met the readiness numbers, first time in 14 years. But I had, while I can say that happened, it didn't happen by myself. I had a team supporting that, doing that the whole time. To drum and then to here. And if you look at the timeline, you realize I'm sitting at 39 years right now. So if I'm looking at somebody with 39 years, I have to ask the question, what have you learned? What's the bottom line? You've got 39 years. What have you learned from that experience? So I want to share some of what I learned from that. I might have to read it off this one. When I thought I was going to get a chance to lead again, what I really wanted to do is look at some things and say, what did I want as a leader when I was a private, when I was a specialist, when I was a platoon leader? What did I want as a leader? You know, because I've had leaders over the last 39 years. I've had leaders that instilled followership and you wanted to follow them everywhere. I've had leaders that honestly were crappy leaders. And it took every bit of my followership and professionalism to follow them. So anything I would have had extra was used up just following this leader. Now I had a chance to lead again. So the question is, what kind of leader would I be? Am I going to put up or shut up? Am I going to be the kind of leader that I wanted? And so I had to start writing a list on what I wanted to be, how I wanted to lead, and then keep myself there. That's what this is, and I can't read it anymore because, frankly, I've had it for about 10 years. And I keep it in my pocket as a reminder, and I have a typed copy in my leader book, so I can't get to about my job without going through my questions. And those questions are listed in your program on the second to last page. I don't want to read all of them, but I do want to point out a couple of things. Everybody that came into this DENPAC and my last one are familiar with these questions. Because when they're on board, I read them and I go through it with every soldier. When they leave, I give them the opportunity to kick me in the shins and tell me where I didn't make my audio match my video. I made them a promise when they came on, and I want to make sure I keep those promises. So I want to point out about 5 of these. The third one down, am I expecting of others anything I'm avoiding? Most times in leadership, you'll hear that question, don't expect of others that thing you're not willing to do yourself. But what I know is Tony Kight, the person behind the rank that actually has to wear this, how do I fail in that regard when I do? I don't fail by, yeah, sure, if you have a billy club over me and I'm forced to do the job, I'll do it. So don't expect of others that thing you're unwilling to do yourself. I can say I'm willing to do it all day long, but am I that person who will wait until my staff does it for me? Because it's a distasteful job and one I don't particularly enjoy. So if I wait long enough, they'll do it for me. Is that leadership? So I had to put this question in a way that points a finger at Tony Kight. It may not fit you. These are my questions. These are the questions that look at me. And so I have to answer these when I look at my list. Do I know who cleans and prepares our facility? She's probably here today. I invited her. Berta is her name. Why is that important that I know what her name is? Because I find that while I'm sitting in my office and I'm doing my job and I'm trying to be terribly important, this person comes in, try not to disturb me because I must be important, right? And so she grabs my garbage and does all that. If you're gonna be humble, you need to know who cleans your facility. You can learn more from your janitorial staff. No, I went to business school, I took management courses, I know if people feel like they're important, they're gonna do well for you. But that sounds an awful lot like manipulation. Like your objective is to try to get something out of them. Instead, I like to go to bed at night thinking maybe I actually did respect them. Here's the lessons you can learn from your cleaning crew. Here's somebody who every day comes into my office with a smile after cleaning out the skid marks in the toilet for everybody else. And she still has a smile on her face. It's fun to be around. That, I think, allows me to be well-grounded. I want to know who that person is that can see life from that perspective and emulate that. And when she comes in my room, my office, I don't continue to type away. I say, "How you doing, Berta? How's your day going?" And then I hand her my garbage can. Probably I'll take out the garbage sack myself and hand it to her, and then re-bag it. Because I want her to know that she's important. Because she is. She's one of my mentors. When I look at her life, I learn from that. Sometimes you can learn that from your janitor. Am I helping those who are not in position to help me? When I first got to my job, I had all the desk toys, and I had the coins, and I had here's my guidons from the places I've been, and I was unloading those in the morning, trying to get them in my office. And about 5 minutes later, here comes a specialist, a couple of privates, with a cart, trying to help the new commander. It didn't get beyond me the fact that, yeah, they want to be in the commander's new graces. But what I do know is that I have a window seat in my office. So the question becomes, while I'm looking out my office window and I see a couple of privates struggling getting something out of the back of a truck, if I'm not actively engaged in something that's super important right now that absolutely has to be done, am I also willing to help somebody who's not in a position to help me? That's how I check and see if I'm being a servant leader or if I'm taking advantage of my position and being served. Am I creating leaders? I hope so. That's one of my objectives in this conversation. I've tried to do this with all my mentees and walk them through this. I'm constantly talking these things. Am I planting trees for anyone else's future? Oftentimes, we complain about what we don't have in the Army. We do not have a budget. We do not have the manning. We do not have the equipment. Who gets to decide what that looks like? Here's the challenge. It takes me 4 years if I want to fund something to get it through the funding cycle. It takes me 5 years to get my TDA to change so that I have the manning. If we're not planting the trees for the next commander, the next person in our role, whatever our leadership position is, then we don't deserve the tree we are having the shade from. The best time to plant that tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is today. So I want to ask every leader in this room, are you planting trees for someone else's shade? Because it takes long enough in this organization. The things you do today are going to affect the leader tomorrow. The reason you don't have is because perhaps they either didn't see the future as it is today, or they didn't think it was important because their command tour is 3 years, not 5. So there's, well, that kind of sounds like a downer way to end this, but that's not it. So the so what is, I got to learn some things about leadership. Hopefully about some humility. You know, as a leader, I make mistakes. My mistakes hurt other people. The more rank and the more position you have, the more people get impacted when you have shortcomings. That's why it's critical to have mentors, to have somebody that can kick you in the shins and say your audio's not matching your video, sir. Often that's my first arm. My SEL is when I give that. My commander. There's people I give that, well, he kind of has that anyway. But there's other people I get to give that to. Say, hey, you got to do this. My wife, she knows my heart and she can check it anytime. To say, really, is that the right answer? Mistakes that cost them, cost those that are being led. So I can't get here today without telling thank you to everybody that's put up with me learning. The Army looks at what I've done and says, oh, you have confidence in what you're going to do. I didn't get here without making mistakes and learning. Thank you for those who felt the pain of my learning process. You're the reason why I get to be here today. And I am very proud of my organization and what we can do together. That's it.